Alright, it's time to ship off this Archangel that I painted for someone. And we're going to do this video here as partially as a tutorial for anybody who wants to know how I safely pack high quality paint job models that I've done for commission. And also for insurance purposes, which I highly recommend if you're, painting something for somebody, you do this as well, because it's good to have documentation. So, what have I done to prepare so far? First of all, this model got a good coat of dull coat to cover it up, and that was let to dry overnight. If you don't let it dry overnight, then there's a chance that it's going to rub off on you. I've also selected an appropriately sized box. I know this doesn't look like it's going to fit in there, but these wings come off, so that'll fit in there quite nicely. And I've gotten a large roll of paper towel and an even larger roll of bubble wrap. And I've also gotten the tokens that I'm shipping with it. So I've made sure that all of these things fit inside. And now we're going to get going on the actual packing. Before we do that, though, I want to discuss briefly the two kinds of, damage that are sources of damage that can happen to a model when you are shipping it. The first kind is from outside the box. And so this is something that, somebody drops it, steps on it. Please don't step on boxes if you're a USPS person. It's jostling around with other boxes in the truck itself or on the plane if it's going on a plane. And these are relatively easy to protect against because you just, you wrap everything really securely in foam so that the outside of the box has a buffer zone, and the internal model is not going to be impacted unless something goes like an inch or two into the box. The other kind of damage that I can suffer is from internal jostling. This is much harder to deal with, but it's also much more likely to happen. And this is where if the box gets shaken, things inside the box move and then impact other things inside the box. So in order to combat this, we're going to be packing some things in rather excessive looking ways. We're going to fill in this this sort of gap, that curve there on every single wing surface. We're going to wrap the ends of the wing spikes on the big wings and the little wings. And we're going to be wrapping the entire thing in paper towel and then in bubble wrap. We're going to be putting paper towel tubing right inside of this gap, and then also another one right here and wrapped around the whole model so that there's no air pockets and there's nothing to jostle into. So let's get going on that. All right, so good first rule of packing is that you should always start with the biggest thing. And in this case, the body of the Archangel is by far the biggest thing I'm going to be putting in the box. Now, I've already determined that it's going to have to lie down like this in the box because on this side of the model, there are no really protruding bits. If I tried to lie it down over here, there's going to be a lot of pressure on this arm, maybe on the tail, maybe on the nose, on the neck, and that would be really, really bad. The more you can distribute pressure evenly, the better. So I'm going to lie it down on this surface. Before I get to wrapping the whole thing, though, what I've pre-prepared off camera is I've taken a couple of paper towels, fairly long ones, and I've ripped it in half lengthwise, and I've gotten two little rolls, and then I've taken a big roll, again a fairly long one, and just rolled it up. And what these are going to do is these are going to fit in here on the model in places that I want to reinforce the space. So for example, right here where the tail is, I'm going to put this piece of paper towel. And the reason I'm doing this is because if something presses on the outside of the tail now, like I am here, it has a little bit of support underneath it, and that's going to keep it safe. Well, safer. Obviously, anything that you do can be undone by sufficient pressure. I'm also going to put, right here you can see underneath the arm, a piece of paper towel, and I'm trying pretty hard here to keep Well, it's really hard to like overdo the other side because the base is the thing that's the biggest thickness. And you're going to notice that all of my attention is done by adding pieces of paper towel that increase the volume of the model such that it's almost a cylinder. That's going to make it ship the safest. This last piece right here, this long piece, I'm going to put underneath the big arm, like the outstretched arm. I'm going to wrap that all the way around the model, and I'm going to wrap it back underneath the big arm. And now I'm going to secure that piece with some tape because it's a bigger piece and I want to make sure that it's secure. Just a piece of Scotch tape. And already we're pretty close to safely wrapped on this. Now there are some other things. This is still exposed right here. I'm going to wrap that in paper towel. I'm going to wrap another piece of paper towel underneath the neck right here all the way around. And then I'm going to, once those are all in place, I'm going to put a layer of bubble wrap around that so that there's another layer of protective filling in there. All right, and as I said, we've now wrapped a little shroud around the noggin, and we've wrapped a long piece of paper towel. I pulled out 3 sheets and I cut that in half lengthwise, or I tore it in half lengthwise around the whole thing, and I've secured both of those with a piece of tape. And then for this last bit right here, I'm just going to slide this under the arm, fold that, and then bring that over the top. And the reason I'm doing this is I really would prefer that the only thing touching the model, and there you go, piece of tape, is the paper towel, because it's much less abrasive and it's gonna keep it secure, well, safe from paint rubbing off. In my experience, bubble wrap is more likely to chip paint than paper towel. Now, the nice thing is this has been really well bundled up, and so let me get my box out here. And again, you should always put a layer of bubble wrap down in your box. You should never ever put models down flat on the cardboard. You always want at least one layer of protection, preferably sometimes 2. I'm gonna have plenty of space for 2 here. I just wanted to make sure. And you can see that the model will fit in there nicely. There's good clearance right here between, you see that? Between where the top of the base is and the top of the box is, so I can put some more bubble wrap there. And we're going to go ahead and put another layer of bubble wrap down there. And then honestly, I think I'm going to put this in there as is, and I'm just going to use bubble wrap around it. I need to think about that one. So, back in a sec. So what I ultimately decided to do was to wrap the whole thing in bubble wrap. 1.5 times around it, and then fold it over the top and tape it. I will put more bubble wrap around it still, but I need a little bit of space because this wing has to fit right around there. This other wing has to fit right around here. The 2 little wings are going to be wherever because they're tiny. And then the tokens are going to fit right around there, which is good. I think there's plenty of space in this box. Actually, the tokens will probably go right here because on the back, there's less things for them to break off if something were to impact them, because the spines are all metal and they're all on there properly. So, okay, that's the body. Let's pack a wing. Off camera, I have torn some paper towel into very thin strips, and I have wound those strips around the spines of the wing. Now, if these weren't barbed, which the Archangel wingtips are barbed, which is very annoying actually, you can see right there, if they were not barbed, I would, instead of doing this, I would be sticking a packing bean on them, and just that would be the solution. I clear coated it. It should be sturdy. It'll go right in, and that'll protect it. This is a great way to transport things with, swords or spines or other things. You just, stuff a packing peanut over it. Since these are barbed, that would be really bad. It would not come off easily. It might break the model. So instead, I've wrapped it in paper towel. I've secured each piece with a piece of tape. And now what I'm going to do is I've torn in half widthwise, and I'm going to place these bits of paper towel right here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to wrap the whole thing in paper towel a couple of times. And what this is going to do right here is it's going to fill in this curvature so that this is more of a flat surface. Now, on the other side, there's also one of those channels in this spot. So I'm at the same time going to be basically, I think, rolling up some paper towel and sticking it in here so that there's less places for pressure to come in and cause damage. Now, this is probably significantly overpacking this thing. However, you know, it's a commission. I'm going to make sure that it gets there as safely as I can make it. So, back in a second. All right, so before I wrap the whole thing, I figured I'd show you this. This is basically, I taped rolls of paper towel to the spines, and that's filling in this sort of gap area on the top of the wing. And now I'm going to very carefully put that there, put this here, put this here, and I'm going to get a paper towel, and I'm going to probably tear it in half, and I'm going to wrap it through here a few times, through here a few times, through here a few times, and just get these spines leveled. I mean, yeah, because this one protrudes all the way to there. And then I'm going to wrap the whole thing in bubble wrap. All right, so there it is, fully wrapped up. As you can see, I just sort of wound around and then through each of these crevices. Ooh, that needs to be closed up there. All right, and taped when I needed to. I ended up using 2 different pieces of paper towel for this. You know, three lengths folded up. And this should be nice and secure. Now I'm going to just make sure that there's no like loose bits here with some tape. And maybe here too. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the whole affair in bubble wrap and do the exact same thing to the other wing. And then those are going to go into the box. So I guess one other real quick thing before I wrap it in bubble wrap is that I'm taping some folded up paper towel in between each spine so that the bubble wrap has a nice round curve and doesn't actually have like things poking out. And I'm going to tape another piece right here. And here it is, double wrapped in bubble wrap, nice and secure. No single spot will absorb any amount of significant pressure. So that's what we want for something fragile like this. All right, now here's the second wing. We've done up the wing tips. We're going to make the supports on the back next. And we've attached the back spines. It's time to go ahead and fold up some paper towel for these front cavities here. There they are all made up. And now we're just going to wrap this thing in paper towel and then in bubble wrap like we did last time. And here's the finished product. We've got it really securely wrapped in paper towel. And we've got the edge alignment things taped on there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wrap this in bubble wrap. And I always go smooth side of the bubble wrap towards the model. So we're just going to bring this over. And now we're going to sort of fold this in here so that we have less wasted space. We're going to fold this in here like this, and this in here like this. And it's going to cause havoc down the line, so just let it fold as it will. And then one more roll. See, like I said, it's causing havoc down the line. And boom. Just like that, it's all rolled up. Secure that with a piece of tape. And there you are. All right, now for these little dudes, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with a folded over piece of paper towel. And I'm just going to wrap this around and over, and then I'm going to wrap it underneath the next spine, and around and over, and around and over, until I've covered the entire thing over the top with a nice fold. Could be on the back too, it's not a big deal. Piece of tape. Now it's really important, and I don't think I mentioned this yet, that you never ever tape directly to the model itself. Never put tape on your paint job. Like, That's just asking for problems. And I'm going to do that one more time. And I think if I do that one more time, it's going to completely encase the little extrusions, and that will keep them safe. So let's do this one more time here. I'm going to start on this side. So that'll go down to there. That'll go down to there. And this will go all the way around. And we've got one defiant little booger head sticking out there. So I'm going to wrap one more time just for him. Here's another piece. By this point, I've had a lot of random bits of paper towel kicking around. So that's this. And then, and you know, you can see the tip through there, but that's okay because like it's impossible to contact it. And then we've got a torn off piece of bubble wrap. And secure that with a piece of tape. And there you are. Alright, so now you can see I've got the body of the Archangel. Each wing is here. The tokens I'm sending are also here. There's a big gap right here and some space right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start filling in those gaps. Here's a folded piece of bubble wrap, and I'm going to put one of the little wings on top of that. And then on the other side, I'm going to put another piece of bubble wrap, and I'm going to put one of the little wings. Actually, yeah, no, I'm not going to put it over there. I'm just going to continue putting these things over here. But that spot does need to be filled in with bubble wrap. So at this point, I'm going to loosely clump a whole bunch of these. We want firm, but not bursting for the overall feel of this. Now, there's a significant chunk of gap right there. We're just going to no, that's a bad idea. We're going to just put some bubble wrap between those two things, because remember, the goal is to immobilize the things in here, not to let them move too much if this jostles. Because when they move around, so the impact hits the box, and then that force has to go somewhere inside the box. And if there's a lot of space to move around, then the pieces move around and smash into each other, and that's when things break. But if everything's nice and snug, then it just travels through the box and out to the other side. Yeah, we're going to stick a whole bunch of bubble wrap pieces in here. This part is not fancy or time intensive at all. We're just going to fill this up to about the line of the box, right about there. And I'm not taping any of this in here. I don't think you need to do that. If you've done a good job packing the model itself, then it should stay pretty happily. Now, this is a part at which if you wanted to use some, like if you've got those air pockets that come with Amazon packages, or many other types of packages, you can also buy them at the post office. Maybe this is a good place to use those, although I'm not a huge fan, personally. I don't like them very much. And I know you're staring at some bubble wrap, but okay. So now we're going to test this. And the way we're going to test this is we're going to close this puppy up, and we're going to give it a shake and see how it sounds. That's pretty good, actually. That's pretty good. I'm going to put a little bit more bubble wrap in there because I'm paranoid. And then I'm going to probably be pretty happy with that. Obviously, you know, tape the edges of your box securely, make sure that they're all square and trim. And then finally, like, I've gone to all this work to pack this really well. Oh yeah, listen to that. No movement at all. I've gone to all this work to pack this really well. And I still recommend getting insurance. Honestly, $1,000 of insurance is like $12. So, insure your package. Make sure that you and your client are both protected. If your client doesn't want to shell out the money for the insurance, consider doing it anyway. Because if something happens, boy, is it nice to be able to say, all right, I'm going to file a claim and we'll get your money back, or we'll get some of your money back, and not have them be super upset at you. So, hope this was informative and enjoyable. We'll see you next time.